This is for all continuing students in both management science, supply chain, in-person, and online programs. A continuing student means you are already enrolled and taking classes right now and are going to take some more. So we're talking about summer and fall today. And the PowerPoint is not too long. We're just going to mostly go over reminders. Many of you should be familiar with this information, but occasionally we need some reminders, so we'll just go over those and then have some time for questions at the end. You will all be doing us a huge favor if you take notes on some of the things we talk about, or at least, go back and review the presentation later. So I'm going to get started. David, did you have any introduction you wanted to do?
No, just hello to everybody, and for those who are with me on either Tuesday or Wednesday night, yes, I'm feeling better, so I'm hoping to be back in the office tomorrow. But no, Michelle, did you want me to talk about possible holds? No, those are for incoming students. Never mind. Not in this one. So nope, we're good.
Yeah, forgive us if we get confused. We just did one of these for brand new students like the other day. So.
So I'm looking at my notes of what we need to go through. So yeah.
Okay. So I'm just gonna go through this. You can put questions in the chat as we go along, but we will be saving them towards the end. So if you want to wait to put your questions in, we might answer it before you even ask it. So who should you talk to? This tends to be a point of confusion still among our students, regardless how far along you're in the program. So we're just going to go over some reminders here. If you are referred to see your academic advisor, that means you should seek an advisor on the JSOM graduate advising team. Neither myself, nor David, nor Dr. Junkie are graduate advisors. We are program staff. So JSOM advising, what they can help you with is account hold assistance, how to physically register for courses, getting on waitlist for courses, basically anything that has to do with physically getting into a class or clearing any type of holds on your account, they're going to be able to help you with. As far as program staff goes, we can provide you some surface level information about those things, but we cannot physically get you into a class or off a wait list. So I just want to make that clear. What we can do is help you understand which courses you want to take, look at tracks within your degree program, obtain a mentor, anything you see on this list here. And if you do want to talk to us about classes, it is super helpful for us if you, ahead of requesting a meeting, let us know what your interests are and provide a short list of classes you are looking at. It is very difficult for you to receive a question that says, what classes should I take, without really knowing who you are, what your interests are, classes you think might be interesting. So do some homework ahead of time and come prepared if you want to have a meeting like that. So I know for some of our spring 22 students, coursebook might still be relatively new for you. So I just want to take some time to go over how coursebook works. So what you're going to be looking at on coursebook, depending on the semester, is the classes that are being offered. And there are several methods of instruction, which are traditional. Those sound exactly as you would think. They are in person, have a specific day and time, and a meeting room. You also have online courses. If you are an online student and do not yet know how to identify online courses, I really need you to take note of this, because I have had online students register for in-person courses and not realize they can't actually show up to that course. So please, please pay attention to the kinds of courses you are registering for. If you see a course with an OW1 and no meeting room, that means it's an online course. It's going to be completely online. There is no meeting time. There is no meeting room. Your professor releases material on e-learning and you complete that material according to that professor's syllabus. So OW1 means online class. Anything without the W in it means it is an in-person class, and that should correspond, as you see there, with a time and a place that you go to that course. So registering for classes. JSOM Advising has a credit limit on how many courses you can take in, depending on which semester you're in. For summer, it is 9 hours, and for fall and spring, it is 12. It's actually 13 and 10 to account for if you take any prerequisites, but that's kind of besides the point. So new students attend orientation. If any of you, for whatever reason, have holds coming up on your account, that shouldn't be too many of you since you're all continuing students. But if you do, please open up those holds and figure out who you need to contact for. When you open them up on your Galaxy account, it should give you a specific email address to contact. And I'll let you know right now that David, myself, and Scott, we physically do not have any power to remove holds from your account. So just open up that hold, see who you need to email, and kind of get going on that. Enrollment appointments. You should all know what an enrollment appointment is at this point. If you don't, well, here's another reminder for you. The enrollment appointment is the day and time that registration opens for you. So for fall registration, it is going to be open between April 4th and April 8th. Pretty sure everyone registers within that week, and you'll all have a different day and time. I know the registrar assigns enrollment appointments based on how many credit hours you have completed. So the more credit hours you've completed, the closer you'll probably be registering to April 4th. If you're lower on that end, the closer you'll be to registering on April 8th. We cannot change these appointments for you. We do not assign them. If you have any concerns, you will want to reach out to the registrar. But you find that enrollment appointment by going to your Galaxy account. You'll want to make sure you're in the Student Center. Then you'll select the Manage My Class tile. And on the left-hand side of your screen, there will be different sidebars you can select. One of those says Enrollment Appointment. You open that up and it'll tell you the day and time you can register for fall. You cannot register before that day and time. It physically will not allow you to do it. For summer is open enrollment. There are no appointments. So as of Monday, April 4th, you can just add courses to your summer schedule. Yes, and something I wanted to mention is you should register as soon as your enrollment appointment opens. This gives you the best opportunity at getting the classes you want or need for the upcoming semesters. So I'm sure many of you, as new students, probably got a little caught up in the craziness of trying to get registered for your first semester. Now you have an opportunity to register right when it opens and get exactly what you want. So I do really encourage you to take advantage of that. Okay, so the following information I pulled from the registrar and JSOM grad advising websites, just so you all know that it's out there and available to you. But putting courses in your shopping cart does not mean you are done registering. You have to click submit and finish and go through the whole process. And you are done when you finally see a green check mark next to the class you're trying to enroll in. If you want a specific course, make sure you type in the class number and not the section. So what I mean by that is, for example, if you want to enroll in spreadsheet modeling OPRE 6332, you cannot just type in 6332. As you can see in the picture here, each class has a specific number assigned to it. You can take that number and put it directly into Galaxy while you are enrolling, and it will bring up the exact section that you want. Again, you're going to find this information on Coursebook. Open up class details. And while we're on it, as you can see in the screenshot, this is another place you see what the instruction method is. So if you'll see the lecture here says face-to-face, that is just another place to see what kind of class you're registering for. All right, waitlist guidelines. So we get a ton of questions about waitlist every single year. I think it's just good to go over how that works. You can only waitlist JSOM courses. And you'll see there's a waitlist for a class with a yellow triangle next to it when you try to enroll. There is a section you can check off that says add me to the waitlist if class is full. So make sure you check that off if you want to be waitlisted for a class. The waitlist does not guarantee registration. I'm sure many of you know that you have to wait for everyone ahead of you on the waitlist in order for you to get into the class. So for you to get into a class on a wait list, that means either people above you need to drop off the wait list, people in the class drop out the class, or we raise capacity on those classes. There is no other way to get off a wait list. I will say one exception is if you are in your graduating semester and you need a specific course, JSOM Grad Advising will consider that and do what they can to get you into the course that you need. But if it is not your graduating semester and you do not need the course right away, we will not be able to get you off a wait list, because essentially what that's asking is to just have you cut in line ahead of everyone else. So just know that's not possible.
And Michelle, if I can make a point here as well, excuse me, the faculty member who's teaching that class, they also cannot jump and manage the waitlist. Those are completely managed by the JSON Grad Advising team. And of course the area coordinators or the areas, as Michelle just pointed out, from a capacity standpoint. If we have the physical capacity to increase both from a faculty standpoint and a room standpoint, then we'll increase that capacity. But yes, I know we get a lot of questions from students saying, the faculty member, I reach out to him to get me off the wait list. You're only going to get through the wait list through JSON Grad Advising.
Yeah. Okay, if a spot opens up in the section and you are at the top of the wait list, it will automatically try to register for you. So once you're on a wait list, there is nothing you need to do besides wait. It's pretty self-explanatory. You'll get an email if you were successfully registered. Now, there are exceptions to why you might not be able to get into a class you're waitlisted for, and that is if you are in the waitlist for a class that you're already enrolled in. So what I mean is, let's go back to our 6332 example. You are enrolled in a section of 6332. You don't like the day and time that it's offered, so you want to try and get a different day and time for that same class. You physically cannot do that because you already have that class in your schedule. So if you get to the top, the system will essentially just kick you right off the wait list, and then you waited on the wait list for nothing. So if you want a specific section, it is best to either A, accept that you are not going to take that section, or B, wait on the wait list. But there's not a way you can do both. All right, and waitlists are available until the date on the academic calendar. This is usually about 2 days before the semester starts, and then at that point they close. So if you do not make it off a waitlist by that time, you will not be in that class. Again, there is nothing really to be done about that situation. This is why the registrar assigns people to register earlier who have completed more credit hours. That way, if you get in this situation where you can't get in a class you want, the closer you get to graduation, the more priority you have. So I know everyone wishes they could register at the same time, but there is a method to the madness that is course registration. All right, so I want to talk about scheduling for both of our programs kind of briefly. I know many of you, we give you a suggested schedule when you're a first semester student. after you complete that first semester, we essentially stop handing out those suggested schedules because it is now kind of in your hands, right? We guided you in the first semester. It is up to you to figure out essentially what you want to get out of this program, and that will inform the kind of classes you take, and to also figure out what you think your career trajectory is, because that will also help you figure out which classes you want to take. So you'll need to check prerequisites. If you're looking at some courses, maybe a semester or two down the line, you want to always check if that course has prerequisites. That way you can register for any of those now. So specifically for my management science students, I know many of you are very interested in taking business analytics with R, but if you did not take the advanced stats, which is its required prerequisite, you will not be able to enroll in that class. Same goes for supply chain. If you want to take business analytics with R as an elective, you have to have your advanced stats under your belt. So making sure you have those prerequisites ready to be registered for if it's a class you want to take down the line. Use Coursebook to see what is available. And I have what you see is what is available here because we frequently get requests to add more classes or add specific sections. There has already been a lot of time and effort put into developing these schedules. So there really will not be anything extra added. What you see is what you get. If you don't see something that you want, you will have to wait for a future semester to see if it is offered. Selecting classes. If you haven't completed all your core requirements, I tend to recommend you take at least 1 or 2 in each semester until you have those done. And then you can mix them up with electives. So for supply chain, you'll all receive this presentation afterwards and you can click on these links. Supply chain, I have you linked to the graduate catalog page here, so you can look through the different tracks and see what electives are recommended for the risk, retail, analytics track, and go through those and get some inspiration. And for management science, we also have track suggestions out on that curriculum page as well. So depending on what direction you want to go, there are also suggested classes for tracks in both programs, really. To be more specific, supply chain, you'll look through any OPRE listed elective, but don't forget you can take 2 electives outside of your degree program to count towards your 36 credit hour total. So you can take something from BPS or BUON and have it count towards your 36-hour total. For management science, you are very free in your scheduling. You can take any unrestricted JSOM elective. So unrestricted basically means it's not for executive education, it's not an MBA specific course, and you have completed the appropriate prerequisites to take that elective. And that can be from really almost any department in JSOM if you are a management science student. Do you have anything to add, David?
Yeah, I was just waiting for you to take a pause. I think that what Michelle showed you on Coursebook, a lot of times we get questions about, well, I looked and there's not a, there may not be a syllabus available or it hasn't been uploaded yet. Typically, we try to have all the syllabus loaded to Coursebook from a JSON perspective a week prior to the start of the semester, but we know that that doesn't always happen. What I'd recommend is if you're curious about a class and there isn't a syllabus loaded, go back to the previous semester, so look at fall of 21 and look for that course. We tend to offer the same courses each successive semester. And you should find the syllabus there that'll give you an understanding of what is the content, what's the pace of the class, and what are the assignments that they're going to cover. So no, I just wanted to add that really quick.
Okay, so the internship portion of this is probably very relevant to all of you. I have talked to many students who are reporting internships for summer and those who are starting to secure offers for fall. So I just want to go over these regulations again and be super clear about what's going to happen. So, okay. Can you see that? Okay, I'm having some technical difficulties on my end. Okay, so if you are a F1 international student, you cannot complete an internship until you have done at least 18 credit hours of coursework. So you can look for internships before then, but you cannot accept one until you have reached that threshold of 18 credit hours. So what I mean by this is some of our students who joined in fall of 21, they are accepting internships that start in summer because at the end of spring, they will have completed that 18 hours. If you're a domestic student, you can report an internship for credit after you've completed 12 credit hours. As a domestic student, if you are working full-time, I do want to point out that you can complete a project at your current workplace in place of going out and finding an additional internship. Credit hours. This is probably the thing I have talked about most with students in the past 2 weeks. As a reminder, you are allowed a maximum of 3 credit hours of internship over the lifetime of the program. Notice I say lifetime. If you try to report your first internship for 3 credit hours, you are essentially closing the door on being able to pursue any other internships. 3 credit hours maxes you out completely. As a F1 student, we highly, highly recommend that you report your first internship for 0 credit hours. So that would be OPRE or MAS 6009. 0 credit hours does fulfill your internship requirement. You do not pay tuition fees for it, but it does not provide you any credits towards your graduation total. In order to get credits towards your graduation total, you would need to report between 1 to 3 credit hours. We recommend 0 as your first internship because if you do not get another internship after that, you are only short 3 credit hours for graduation, which you can easily fill in with a 3 credit elective. Or if you get internships extended, you can continue to take them because you have not maxed out your 3 credit hour total. You can only take 0 credit hours for your first internship only, and you cannot retroactively go back and change the amount of credit hours you are enrolled in. So if you take 0 credit hours, that's the only internship you get while you're in the program. You can't go back and say, hey, I actually want that to count for 3. It's too late for that. Same thing goes if you submit for 3 and then want to go back and change it to 0. You just can't. So if it's your first internship, please do yourself a favor, report it for 0 hours. You'll be happy you did. I promise you. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I'm just making sure I'm as we're keeping up, I'm pulling up the websites over here. So I've got everything that you're covering. I'm pulled up the website as well.
Yes.
So
oh, and something else I want to add is many of you will receive offers from your employers that have start and end dates. There are a lot of students who report internships without checking that their internships fall within acceptable working dates. If you're an F1 student, there is a section on the JSOM CMC website that tells you the exact time periods you are able to work. If you report an internship to us that falls outside of that time period, we are going to ask you to go back to your employer and provide us acceptable working dates. So please do your research ahead of time. That way you don't have to go back to your employer and then go back to us and lengthen the whole process with trying to get accurate information. Do your research ahead of time. It's all available to you on the different JSOM CMC web pages.
And then Michelle, just a real quick question. Do we have domestic working students on our webinar right now?
I am not sure.
Yeah. So do you want to cover that one really quick? Because I know we get those quite often on the domestic working student, and I need to meet the internship.
Yeah, I mean, this will be recorded and sent out to them, so I'll cover it. The domestic students, as we mentioned, you can do a special project at your current workplace, which is you essentially come up with a project that is going to be worked on in conjunction, like with your supervisor's approval. You add the project document in place of a job description when you report the internship. To get a full 3 credit hour approval for a special project, you need to demonstrate you're going to work at least 240 hours over the course of the project. And a important note on that is if you are within the first 6 months of your job, you're not required to set up a project. You can just report the first 6 months of full-time employment as the internship. This is because when you're trying to get settled and learn everything, it can kind of just be like a special project itself. So, yeah, so you can either report the project if you are past 6 months at a full-time job, or just report your job if you're within the first 6 months of that. Okay, international students. If in the meantime, in between registering and getting ready for next semester, you have questions about a visa, questions about getting a CPT I-20 issued, please make sure to contact your immigration advisor, either via email or your iComment portal. While I do approve internships for you guys, I have actually no part in the I-20 paperwork. So we cannot make I-20 paperwork go faster for you. We cannot advise you on an I-20 paperwork process. So please just make sure you keep in touch with your immigration advisor if you are making any changes to your I-20. Okay, and as I promised, this isn't too long. I'm on my second to last slide here. So you're not a first semester student anymore. I reused some of these slides, so I hope you'll forgive me, but have a backup plan for your classes. As a reminder, you know, we can't really add more classes or get you off a wait list. If you need help physically getting onto a wait list, you can email JSOM Grad Advising and they will help you with that process. And during registration periods, it is extremely busy across campus. So we ask that you allow at least 48 hours before sending another message or, you know, saying like, hey, I'm just checking in on this. We will work as fast as we can to get to your question. And we do ask that you email your message only to the office that it concerns. And this is because just having too many people on an email can be confusing. And you might be expecting responses from everyone, but you can also run into the fact that there are so many people copied that no one answers because everyone thinks someone else is going to answer. So only to the office that it concerns. So if you have an immigration issue, ISSO. If you need to get on a wait list, advising only. If you want to ask about which course you should take, SEM or MSc only. Some examples of that. Okay, final notes. So as we mentioned, if you have a concern or question, it would really be helping us out if you emailed the program inboxes only. And this helps us figure out how we need to respond to you. I can figure out which program you're in, which will inform the kind of advice we need to give you. And we will be monitoring these program inboxes during this time. Okay, I honestly think that was incredibly efficient. So we have some time for questions. You can add them to the chat, or we have enough people here. If you want to talk, you can raise your hand in the Teams area.
And I think while they're thinking about that and we're looking for those, the only thing I want to say to everyone is, Yeah, as Michelle mentioned, as soon as you get your enrollment appointment, make sure you're scheduling your classes. I know that quite a few of you who started with us last fall, that was of an area of concern, just because we just had overwhelming number of enrollments across the graduate programs here at JSOM. So make sure that you're getting those classes scheduled. Again, to reiterate, if you guys have holds on that, rather than sending an email to Michelle and I, regardless of the program, make sure you're working closely with the grad advising to figure out what that hold is and how to get that taken off. I think that's everything that I had. You've covered everything else very well.
Yeah, and if I were to say the most important thing out of the entire presentation, this might sound silly, but I've seen it too often, is the pay attention to the kinds of classes you're enrolling in. I have students who have enrolled in online courses and they email me like 2 days before the semester starts and they go, when is my course getting a room assigned? And I'm like, you enrolled for an online course. They just don't realize. So that is probably honestly the most important thing because it applies to you whether you're in-person student, online student, you should just know what you have in your schedule.
Ratika, I saw your hand go up. Do you have a question still, or did we answer it?
Yeah, Professor, I do have a question. So I wanted to ask if, like, what are the minimum credits required? For example, now I've taken 12 credits, and if I happen to complete a few more credits in the summer, I will be eligible for an internship in fall. So just wanted to confirm if I can take up more credits. So like I'm planning to take 9 credits. Is it, suggestible?
So 9 credit hours in summer is allowed. However, you should be prepared that it's going to be a very heavy workload since summer is a shortened semester, which means instead of your typical graduate class being from like 4 to 6:45 or like 7 to 10, it's from 6 to 10.
Yep.
You'll have 3 of those in a week if you take 3, and you will have an increased amount of work per class as well, since it is in a 10-week instead of a 16-week time frame. So I personally recommend against taking 9 hours in the summer. I think it's quite a bit of work, but that is me. I personally would not want to do that. But if you want to do that and you think you can handle it, that is fine, since 9 hours is the limit.
And just to add that, the full-time minimum requirements only 6 hours for the summer because they are longer sessions.
Well, summer's actually optional.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you don't have to take anything in the summer, but you can.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Someone asked, Hari, is there any possible chances that additional summer courses will be offered? I'll let you take this, David.
I can answer that one, yeah. So just to let everybody know who's on the webinar with us today, the the school, JSOM, we are going through our summer offering. We are looking to see where we can enhance the offering that we're providing. So we are making adjustments to the summer schedule, even as of this week. I know we made some changes to our operations management schedule already. So in the next coming days, you're probably going to see some additional courses being offered. What we're trying to do is, one, of course, it's summer. Many of our faculty members are off for the summer. They don't teach during the summer. That's normally a research period. We're trying to find out who's actually available to teach classes. As we get those classes added to the schedule, they'll be those will be showing up. What I can tell you, if you are looking at scheduling for summer courses, capacities are enrollment capacities are not going to be a concern, because typically we don't have very large enrollments during the summer. Many folks are taking the summer off to do their internships. They're taking time off to go on vacation and so forth. But all of our capacities, because I do the scheduling for both the OM department and then JSOM overall, all of our capacities are at max. So I think that as you see those new courses, you don't have to worry as much about being closed out of a course as much as you do during the fall and spring timeframes. So hopefully that helps answer.
Sarang?
Yeah, thank you. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, so I had a question like I intend to intern in fall after completing my 18 credits requirement in summer. So right now I don't have the internship, but I may have it in the fall. So how do we report that? And second thing being, I have an academic hold right now regarding some degree certificate issue. So will I not be able to register for the courses then?
So if you are a continuing student with a hold, they usually won't push that like they did when you were a first semester student. So for you, you all want to reach out to whoever has placed that hold on your account as soon as possible. It sounds like it is probably from the Office of Admission if it's about a degree transcript or certificate. And clear that up with them. Because if you have a document hold past your first semester, they're not going to be as lenient with you as they were when you were a first semester student. And I believe you asked how to report an internship when you have it. So the JSOM CMC website also has a section for dates when internship reporting is open. So it will tell you for fall what the earliest date you can report an internship, and you go through the Orion system. So you upload your offer letter and your job description through Orion. It gets a scan by the UTD Career Center and then gets sent to the program to approve on a program level. After it's approved on a program level, it goes to JSOM Advising, where you work with them to enroll in the course. And after that, it gets sent to ISSO if you are an international student. That's probably way more information than you needed, but it is a multi-step process, and that's why it takes a little while. And that's why you want to honestly usually report as soon as you can so you don't have any delays in the process.
And the only thing I'd like to add to that, Michelle, is make sure that you're visiting the ISSO for the CPT application. That's also required when you're preparing for your internship, because they have their dates out there as well.
So what's the tentative timeline we expect to get the internship approved? Let's say 10 day, 20 day, just an estimate of that you can provide, please.
So I would say from the time you report it to the time the program approves it, given you've gotten all your documentation right, so this isn't a perfect scenario where your documentation is not missing anything, it can be as short as, I would say, like 2 to 4 days. And then from the time it goes from the program through to ISSO, can be about 2 to 3 days. So I guess now we're at 4, 5, 6, 7, and then ISSO will usually take about within 5 business days, they'll give you an updated I-20. So, so you're looking at about 12 business days on my estimation for the entire process. And that's me being generous and giving everyone like a couple extra days to get things done.
And then
thank you, David.
And one final note on that, Sarang, I just dropped in the CPT website, so you guys will have that as well. Pay attention to the dates and the timeframes it takes to get your Social Security number. I know that one adds some delays to this as well. Michelle and I have often talked to students who are getting very nervous as they haven't gotten an SSN yet, and the internship offer is getting ready to start. So, read through that website I just dropped on there. It has all the information as well as the deadlines of when to file the application, as well as the SSN information as well.
Great. Thank you. Have a great rest of the day.
You're welcome.
Okay, I have a question. I took 6301 my first semester instead of 6359. Does this mean I will be limited in analytics track until I complete 6359? So yes is a short answer. If you want to take certain electives that require 6359, you will not be able to. The caveat here is you can take 6359 if you want to. You will have to pay for those extra credit hours, and they will not count towards your graduation total. Since in our graduate catalog, it states you can't earn credit for both 6301 and 6359. So only one of those classes will count towards your graduation total. However, if you are that interested in some heavier analytics-based courses, you can complete that 6359, but you will have to pay for it. And just to add to that, Roy asked that question. Look into the electives you're interested in just to make sure they require 6359, because if they don't, then you don't even have to worry about taking that extra class. So yeah.
Well, Michelle, I don't see any other questions or any other hands raised, so I think you did a great job in explaining all the information to everybody.